Thank you, Presbyterians. But our podcast is in another castle. Today on. Welcome, everybody, to another Press B to Cancel podcast. We are talking about Super Mario Brothers 1 today, and probably a little bit of other work as well. I am joined today by a couple of my good friends. First, but not worst, Jake, how are you?
I'm doing great, but you got to ask GP, what the fuck was that noise? Sorry, YouTube, with this chair during the intro.
I was adjusting the lumbar in my gaming chair, and so the deep guttural fartish noises are I'm gonna blame that.
Did you all see one of those scary movies where it was the one that made fun of The Ring, and there's a part where one of the people farts and he's like, it was the chair. And then I think is it Queen Latifah or somebody and she just like lets one rip and she's like, the chair.
Because I know GP, you said you had Long John Silver's for dinner, so I thought, oh, he maybe snacking on a biscuit or something in the intro, which is totally cool. And I look up, like, you're not eating with your mouth.
Okay, I want to say this: LJS, not near classy enough to have biscuits. It's adorable that you think they have biscuits. They have hush puppies that are fire, but no.
Okay.
All right, and I'm also joined by, last but not least, GP of the Retro Therapy. GP, how are you today?
And another thing about Long John Silver's that you all might find interesting: I'm horribly allergic to shrimp, and I just had a bunch.
I'm allergic to shellfish. I didn't know you were also allergic to shellfish.
Okay, I haven't been hospitalized yet, but it's like 50-50 as to whether or not I get some gastrointestinal discomfort. So either way, we're gonna have a great show today, everybody.
I'm excited.
Wow. All right. And for those watching the podcast on YouTube, or maybe viewing it later on YouTube, GP in true asshole form is showing me up. So the story is Super Mario Brothers 1 is my Sisyphean game. We did an episode on Sisyphean games. I am still working to beat it. And as part of this podcast today, GP is going to attempt to complete it over and over and over again, and we are going to run a counter.
Okay, part of that is true. Not everything you said is accurate, but yeah, I mean, I will be seeing how many times I can beat this game. Not to be an asshole. I mean, I am an asshole, but I'm not intentionally trying to be an asshole.
Just to prove that GP is not a fake gamer.
God.
I am doing it warpless, and for the podcast, we decided as a group that you should do it with warps, just because it would be funnier to have many completions.
Yeah. I don't want this counter to be stuck on 0 very long, GP. So
okay,
I want at least 10. At least 10.
At least 10. I was about to ask for the goal. Maybe. Okay. Yeah, we'll go for that. So you guys heard it. You heard it here. We're not stopping. Nobody is going home until I get to 10. Thanks, Jake.
Oh, I haven't even had dinner tonight. I guess I'm sinstress. I'm not going to make it home for dinner.
Yeah, we're gonna be stuck watching GP do laps. This is how it works. It's the Daytona with Mario.
Now the true story is GP did ask if it was too much of an asshole move to do this while I'm still stuck on 5-4, and we'll get to that. And really what happened is I agreed because I don't know how to say no.
That's true. I have some tasty pictures of Sinistar.
This is fair. All right.
Also, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. We decided that we needed to talk about. We have touched on Super Mario Brothers 1 in a few episodes, as well as the Sisyphean episode, but we've never done an episode dedicated to Super Mario Brothers 1. So that's why we're here tonight. Today, whatever time you're listening. And we're going to talk about the difficulty. We're going to talk about I don't know, maybe a little history. We're going to talk about the manual for sure. But I don't know. Who wants to kind of kick off this discussion?
I'll start.
There you go. Thank you.
Are you on 8-1 already, GP?
I don't want to talk about
he worked to 8. He worked to 4-1 and then 8-1.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, maybe you can do this. All right. Stream's over at 10. So yeah, I mean, we've talked about the sequels to Mario, but we never did talk about the original. And this is like the granddaddy of all platformers, right? This is what defined the genre, the not just platforming, but the scrolling screen platformer. And this is such a great game. And this will always have a special place in many kids' hearts. I know for me, because this is like the pack-in game for Nintendo, and this is like the
Oh
standard
god.
for pack-in games. Like, I mean, nowadays you get a console and there's usually like a demo disc at best, right? Really,
Right.
it's
Right.
very
Or
rare
you
you
get
get
a
a pack-in game.
download code. You get a
Yeah,
download code for some indie pile of something.
yeah. But like when the Switch came out, it didn't come with Mario Odyssey. I wish it did because Odyssey is fantastic. But we haven't had an experience where it's like the packing game is this, right? I mean, Super Nintendo had Mario World for a lot of the cases, but this had Mario 1. And what a fantastic game to show off the power of the NES over everything else at the time, right? Like this trumps whatever crap Atari launched with, if anything. Like this is a great packing game. So
I
I
think
love
Atari
Mario Brothers
launched
One.
with Combat, didn't it?
Did it? Well, combat's not
I
bad,
think it was Combat.
but it's no Space Invaders or Asteroids,
No.
right? So,
Right.
but yeah, this is the classic game, and it's such simple, pure gameplay. Like I know in the past we did an episode about the greatest platforming games on the NES, and you guys all voted wrong and took this out of the running. It's such a great game because it's platforming with really great physics, right? Physics is what
Sure.
makes and breaks a platforming game, and Mario has that nailed and dialed in so great. Where like the longer you hold the button down, the higher you jump, and with the running and the physics and the gravity, it comes together so well. I just love this game so much.
For sure. I think we should do an episode at some point on logical game progression or those sorts of things, but Mario's kind of the epitome of that. If you look at 1-1 right off the bat, it teaches you jumping on the enemy and hitting the blocks. Like it just teaches you that. And it doesn't teach you that through the manual. It teaches you that through through the gameplay.
Right.
I'm watching GP struggle with a Hammer Brother here.
And that's the thing, right? Like not only is this game, got such great gameplay, it has such a variety of enemies, which even for Nintendo was pretty outstanding, right? I mean, you have the mushroom Goombas, the Koopas, and all that stuff, but different flavors, and then you got these hammer flinging assholes.
Yes.
And
That
yeah,
is a
and
correct
there's
term.
I remember watching you because you've been playing this over the last few weeks, Sinistar. And
Yes.
is it 5-4 that has the Hammer Brother on the little staircase that you have to basically damage boost your way through?
Not 5-4, because 5-4 is a castle.
Okay, right. 5-1
Probably
maybe?
5-3. Well, it
Okay.
definitely is in 5 though. He is on a stairway, and I mean,
Yeah.
you basically are going to iframe it unless you're some sort of god.
Yeah, and that's the design with a lot of the Mario levels is I want to say every world has a mushroom somewhere. And if you
I
can
think it
find
does.
it, yeah, and if you can find it in each stage, and you can find the next stage's mushroom, it's a fire flower, which if you have a fire flower when you get to the castle, it's
Mhm.
like easy mode for Bowser, right? It's quite easy to do. But it's finding those mushrooms hidden somewhere in each stage is tricky. But I noticed when I was watching you play, that was one of the things I was trying to do was get that mushroom because I know there's certain parts of this game where if I'm not Big Mario, I'm just gonna die.
Right.
And that's kidding.
I've basically determined that if I make it to Bowser and I don't have the mushroom, I don't think I can normally beat Bowser. Now, sometimes I will jump over him, sometimes, but that iframe ability with Bowser is, I mean, it is. Oh my gosh! I just watched Mini Mario through some Bowser axes, and he just beat it. By the way, so that's one.
So that's one of the great things about this game was that I mean Bowser is the boss at the end of every stage or every world. They're actually called fake Bowsers, as I found out.
Yes.
But he starts off easy enough. He just jumps occasionally and shoots fireballs, and you have to jump over his head and hit the axe, and he dies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But as you progress, he gets harder and harder. And yeah, the last couple, he's jumping more, he's throwing hammers, and it's nightmare
Right.
fuel if you're small Mario. And I've seen speedrunners do it, and it's outstanding how they get through it. They just know exactly when to go, and I love
Right.
it. I
Yeah,
actually found out
and
about the fake Bowser thing today, and I wanted to talk about it because I thought that was the case, but I didn't realize that was like the official thing. Because whenever you kill Bowser, in each of the worlds from 1 to 7 anyway. When he dies, when sprites die in Mario, they flip upside down. But Bowser actually turns into another enemy sprite when it dies. And I guess the idea is that fake Bowser's cast a spell on his minions to turn them into fake Bowsers. And it's not
I've
until
never
World
noticed
8.
that.
It's not until World 8 that you actually see the Bowser sprite flip upside down and die. So I found that really interesting.
I have never noticed that Bowser converts into something else.
GP, did you just do one?
Yes.
You did. Wow, that was fast. What is that, like 5 minutes? There you go. All right.
GP, are you muted? I think you're muted.
Did you mute yourself? Oh, no.
Or he just can't talk to us anymore. Okay.
Okay.
So GP is here. He's the pretty face for us. He is Vanna White for Press B to cancel tonight. By the way, I'm watching him play 4-1, and I want to call this out. 4-1 is my jam. 4-1. I went to talk to somebody about it. Oh, it was the streamer Erroneous. And he said 4-1 is his downfall.
Well,
and
good reason.
No, if you use the ABR strategy, always be running.
Yes.
4-1 is a cakewalk. I can speed run 4-1.
So it's not as bad as the later levels. Unfortunately, GP, we can't hear you. I wish we could. He knows. It's okay. But yeah, so like Lakitu is one of... He's not as bad as Hammer Brothers. Hammer Brothers is hands down the worst enemy in the game for me. But Lakitu is a strong second place because the constant stream of spinies that come after you, it's terrifying. And 4-1 is the first world with that asshole. And like the worst part is if you manage to kill him, he just comes back. So it's like you have like a minute reprieve, and then that's it. He comes back. So he's more of a pain later on, but I did not like him in 4-1. But you are right. If you ABR, if you always be running, you do get through.
Which, by the way, I found also on the fish levels. Not the underwater fish levels, but the fish levels, the flying fish levels, ABR. Always be running.
Yes. Well, 2-1. Is that the level? Who came in the toy? Was it you or Charred Monk that came up with the term "oh fish"? Oh fish.
It was Charred Monk for sure.
Yeah, and that was pretty sure that was 2-1, or the one with the fish flying at you on the bridge. That level was crazy. But you're right. If you just constantly run and don't take your foot off the gas, you easily get through that level. Like speedrunning this game is just wild to me. There was anybody listening or watching this episode, this GP is silently screaming in the background for dropping down that hole. And we'll get to 8 in a minute. But there's a guy named Summoning Salt who does fantastic YouTube documentaries. And he did one on speedrunning of Mario 1 and talking about the history of the record and how it was beaten. I think it was last year. And just the tactics that runners use to beat this game quickly is crazy. It's even to the point where at the end of every stage, or well, the earlier stages, there's a flagpole. And you save time if you hit the bottom of the flagpole because you don't have to slide down it as far. And those precious frames is what gave this guy the record. And it's hilarious to see. Not hilarious. It's interesting to see. So
or as Brother of Sin calls it, when I hit the bottom of the flagpole, phoning it in.
Phoning it in, but it's faster. You don't get as many points. But
that's right.
Yeah.
And they definitely will do things like I've seen them do like the little momentary pause so that they don't hit like a 6, a 3, or a 1, right? On the time. It is crazy how we are down to CP's explaining fireworks to us through mime.
Right.
Thank you for
when you
miming
get 6
fireworks.
or 9 on the digit clock, you get fireworks. Yeah.
But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, we are down to like we're talking milliseconds. We're at the end of kind of the human ability to like react to things as far as speedruns go until somebody figures out a new awesome method, right?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the record now. I'm curious. It's under 5 minutes. It is 4 minutes and 54 seconds. And you're right, it's milliseconds. Let me just look here real quick. Is the top all... Wow. The top 3 are all 4 minutes and 54 seconds, and they are all milliseconds off. Yeah. That's wild. That really is wild.
Yeah. Sinstress up a point. I'm watching chat a little bit. If you are listening to this episode and you want to come over to our YouTube channel, Press B to Cancel, we are having GP run this as many times as he can while we're talking, but he keeps dying. So it's embarrassing. Oh, he says it's bullshit. He's miming it's bullshit.
Yeah.
And for those that are listening to this later, his mic is dead, and so he is mime mode, and so really you need to watch this video.
And he's dying, to be fair, on 8 too. And World 8 is just awful. It's just
Eight-
it's such a great
eight-
game, but when you get to stage 8, whether you warp there or you
Yeah.
go there naturally, the jump in difficulty is insane.
Yeah, when I was doing this first, I was doing it warp. I would warp all the way to 4-1, 4, and then go to 4-2, and then I would warp to 8-1, and 8-2 is my nemesis in the 8 world. So now, I am doing this. I'll talk about this as I mentioned earlier. This is my Sisyphean game. This is the game that I feel I should have beaten, but I never have. It's the game that's kind of beaten me to this point. And I am doing this warpless currently. And there's a great clip. I'm gonna shout myself out a little bit here. But on
Go for
Twitch,
it.
there's a great clip of me getting to 5-4 for the very first time in my life, and seeing this fire bar in the castle. I'm in 5-4. I'm in the castle. There's a fire bar, and it literally shocks me so much I jump off the edge and
Well,
die.
it's huge. It's a huge fire bar
It is.
that basically sweeps the entire screen. And it's just wild.
Yeah.
Because up to that point, you've only seen ones that are like a fraction of the size, right?
Yep. Yeah, I'm watching him run through Hammer Brothers here.
Yeah, 8-3
Oh,
has 2
GP.
batches of Fire Hammer Brothers that jump up on platforms. But yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah. Let's talk about the manual before we forget. So
That deep lore.
So, yeah, something that was brought up in the Sisyphean episode, and I'm going to reference that episode probably a bunch because it kind of stemmed this whole thing. But Werewolf, wonderful member of Pressby, brought up the fact I have never read the manual for Super Mario Brothers, because who reads the manual for Super Mario Brothers? This game is it's intuitive. Why would I go do that? But it gives you lore, and it says one day the kingdom of the peaceful mushroom people was invaded by the Koopa, a tribe of turtles famous for their black magic. The quiet, peace-loving mushroom people were turned into mere stones, bricks, and even field horsehair plants, and the mushroom kingdom fell into ruin. So it talks about how they're bricks, and what do you do when you're mushroom-filled Mario? You explode bricks. GP's miming this for us.
Yeah, you
So
smashing
I think
bricks. You're smashing the
Yeah.
innocent people of the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah.
Mario's a mass murderer, is what this game manual is
Yeah.
saying.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it's absolutely awful lore. Like, dark for no reason. But was this the translation of the manual, or was this the original Japanese one, too?
Ooh,
Do
that's
you
a
know?
good question.
Because
That's a
sometimes they
good que- I
change the
don't know.
stories in these games, right? And sometimes they take liberties. So,
Yeah. I don't know. I would have to go look at the original manual, but
I'll have to take a look.
Uh-huh.
But that's really cool. And that's the thing. Like, this is the origin of the franchise, really. I mean, I know there was a Mario Brothers game before this one in the arcades, but this is the one that kind of brought a story, as brief as it is, to the franchise. And to see how far it's come now with, like, Odyssey, right?
Mhm.
Where in Odyssey, it's Bowser is trying to kidnap Peach because he wants to marry her. That's the story for that one. Like, how far has it come? Wow,
That's two.
GP just toot it. That's 2 runs. That's unbelievable. I don't know. I'm gonna say, like, so before this episode, in my my exhaustive research for Press B, I did try playing this. I actually played this a few weeks back. I was gonna try and do the Big 20. I had big lofty goals, and I got to 5-4 in one shot. I was so pleased with myself, so pleased. So I figured I'd try it again this week and see how it is. And when I tried playing through, I got to the 2-1 in the fish level, and I died like twice. I've never been more upset at myself, displeased, when I died to those goddamn fish. So this is a game I was saying, I think, offline. I've beaten Mario Brothers 1 many times, mostly in my youth. I've beaten it several times, but it never fails to still be a challenging game. As beatable as it is still a challenging game. And if you are not paying attention, it will knock you in your butt.
Right. Now, I do want to talk about something that I.
Is it herpes?
Oh, we can hear you now.
We have a GP
Oh,
now.
and I came in on herpes. Wonderful. Sorry about
You
that.
did.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I want to talk about herpes again.
So I
Get
will warn you,
yourself
GP,
Yeah.
for the audio episode, Melon may, our program that we use to capture this, may actually have your audio there. So for the audio listeners, they may have heard everything GP said in the last 15 minutes.
We're going to be doing some heavy edits. Heavy edits. I apologize to so many different, well, mostly my parents.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you should. I mean, you're an asshole. We've discussed this earlier. Wait, was my mic hot this time? Sorry.
No, you're both good. We're all fired after this episode.
Right. What was I don't know where we were going. I was derailed by GP unmuting himself.
Last thing I heard was Mario is a mass murderer.
Yeah.
Big fan of the alliteration.
Well, Werewolf in chat wanted us to talk about as part of the creation for this game. They literally built the levels on graph paper, and it's kind of cool because as you can basically tell, everything is really laid out in a very uniform graph kind of way. So
yeah, one of the great things with the Nintendo that I used to like was the tile of the graphics and how they did so much with limited tile sets. And yeah, like in the level design of Mario couldn't be more deliberately how it's been designed. Like I know we complain about in some games the concept of like blind jumps, for example, right? Where the level comes at you where you can't see where you're supposed to go. That's never really the case with Mario. You always know where you need to go in Mario. It may be a tough jump, it may be a little confusing. I know there's a couple that require to run that other levels don't, but you know what you need to go or where you need to go, and that's something that some platform games don't do, and it's frustrating as hell. That's right.
Right.
Well, what you guys said earlier was exactly right. Like the skill level or the difficulty level, the minute you step foot into World 8, I mean, it very much is, hey, I know you're the transfer student, but we're taking the final today kind of stuff. Like if you haven't done what Sinistar is doing and going through without the warps, and then you go back after having warped, really it's you stand very little chance. And that goes back to what Jake was saying about the level design and kind of how they maximized what was available to them with the limited sets that they had. I mean, to get 32 episodes or 32 levels out of all this without it being redundant and boring, it's very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, I mean, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Miyamoto is kind of anti-blind jump from what I've kind of seen, right?
Well, he's always been writing the book about good game design, right? He's always been the standard for how to design a game that's still fun but can also be challenging, right? And I think anybody who worked with him on this game kind of carries that same attitude. I can't remember his first name, but his last name is Tezuka, and he's the one who
Takashi
Tezuka, yes. And I think he did Lost Levels, and I know he did Mario Maker. And there's a lot of the design of Mario Maker is because of this game, right? And it's just, he carries that same spirit of hard but fair. Even if it's hair pulling fair, it's still fair.
Right.
So you guys know how.
Go ahead.
Okay, no, well, I was just going to do one of my horrible impromptu and not really accurate metaphors. Shit. You know
What's
how
a
they just
metaphor?
pulled they just pulled the plug on the DC Batgirl movie? Would you say that Mario Brothers 2 is essentially the canceled Batgirl movie? And we know it in the States as the Lost Levels, but all those people worked all those hours just to get their stuff relegated to obscurity. That sucks.
Well,
Yeah.
at least people could play Mario Brothers 2 in Japan.
Oh, it'll come out someday.
You think Batman's going to come out in Japan?
Batgirl?
Batgirl's going to come out in Japan? I don't know. I heard they're going to delete it off the servers or something like that. They're doing like funeral watchings of it or something like that.
Right, which is
Yeah.
Oh man, my heart goes out to
wild.
everybody. But yeah, what an interesting thing, the Lost Levels. I really, growing up, thought, oh, okay, they were the Lost Levels, and then of course learning the history of it is horrifying. So
If you have not seen Lost Levels at this point in your life, so the history of that is it was Super Mario Brothers 2 Japan. Now it's called Lost Levels in the US, but what basically happened is there was a member of the US Nintendo team that would kind of view these games and decide if they would work in the US market, and basically said this is too hard and too ridiculous. And so Nintendo actually scrambled and took an existing game, also a Miyamoto game, called Doki Doki Panic, and reskinned it. And so this is where we get Birdo and some characters that don't fit in the Mario franchise, right? Now
But
what's
they're
great is
canon, though.
they're
Yeah.
canon now. I love that. But if you go back and you play Mario Lost Levels or Mario 2 Japan, you will see that they took it to a level, and they basically, like, they added bad mushrooms, they added wind, they added all sorts of effects that were like cruel. They were cruel. As was that death. I'm sorry, that death was cruel, GP.
That was rough, GP. That's okay.
what was it? Was it 50% gaming, if I remember correct, was kind of the subject matter expert on how to play Mario 2 The Lost Levels.
He watched. I remember I don't know who he watched initially. He watched somebody do it, and he basically decided that he was going to start speedrunning it and became very good at it.
Yeah. Yeah. If ever you want kind of the abridged version, that's somebody I would recommend. He's quite entertaining.
Yeah, 50% gaming, I think friend of the podcast for sure. But used to be a speedrunner for Mario 1 and then decided to speedrun Mario Lost Levels.
He must really hate himself
to
go through Lost Levels as a speedrunner.
He decided he didn't hate himself because he stopped speedrunning it. Probably
good for one's sanity. So we're saying Lost Levels is like a hard mode. It was basically an expansion pack for the original Mario Brothers. But I mentioned offline, Sinistar, I didn't want to spoil Mario Brothers 1 for you because you haven't beaten it yet. But you said you didn't mind. So when you actually beat Mario Brothers 1, there is a cool thing. There's kind of like a new game plus. After you beat Mario Brothers 1, it says you can start a new adventure, and it basically starts you back from World 1. You can actually pick what world you want after that point. It gives you counter.
Level select.
Yeah, but what they've done is all Goombas are erased and replaced with beetles. Enemies move faster. Fire bars are longer, I think. No, not longer, but they're in more spots. And what was the other thing they changed? Moving platforms are shorter. So they make it, it's basically hard mode of Mario once you beat it. And that's really interesting to me. So actually, I wonder if there's a speed run for hard mode of Mario. I wonder if that's a thing.
Oh, I'm sure there is. This game has been so, picked apart. You guys were talking earlier when I was muted, I guess, about how small of a window it is to even just move up in the rankings. And there is an actual number about how many more frames are available to be saved and shaven off, but nobody's figured out how to do it yet. But it's at some point, I think, in our lifetime.
They know through like PB records and stuff, other ways to do this.
Right. And I think it's something like there's only a couple hundred frames, if that are still available to cut out before the game is considered maximized and not able to be,
I think this was at 15 hertz. So we're talking, like 5-6 seconds, 7 seconds, whatever it is.
Super
Math
small.
is hard.
Right.
However many times 15 or 100 goes into 15. That's how many seconds we've got. So, well, that's based on like current procedures, right? Who knows if there's another hack or whatever not hack. What's the term?
Like a glitch, yeah.
Glitch.
So there's, if you ever go and watch one of those videos, which I recommend everybody watches the anybody in the top 10 for speedruns of this. But, there's a point, like if I start over here on the left side of the screen, the stage doesn't move until I get Mario to a certain part, right around there. Okay. So there are certain stages, I think specifically 4-2, where you can advance Mario further than that midway point, even just by a couple of pixels. And that makes the stage load in a different way. So instead of going up the vine to the next, warp pipe area, you go down the following pipe like that, which I didn't mean to do. and it will take you to the warp area instead of having to go up there. So they're still finding ways to do things, and these glitches. Fuck me. Oh shit. Damn it. I'm having a hard time putting cogent sentences together while focusing, but anyway, I recommend.
Now you've fucking done it.
Right. Go back and watch somebody, I would say if you have a couple of hours, but let's face it, the speed run is, under 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And obviously not anything I can do. But yeah, it's impressive the way people have figured out this game. And it's addictive to watch.
Is there a glitchless PB or world record? There probably is, because I think most games have glitchless, right?
They do.
Right?
Yeah.
And those are the ones I usually like to watch. Like we're Mega Man, I like watching the glitchless or zipless runs because I like to think that those are runs I could maybe do myself. Right? A lot of the speed run tricks are really tricky. That's why with Big 20, which is this big speed run marathon, right, where you're going through 20 games, if you don't want to do it in 12 hours, if you want to do it faster, you kind of need to learn at least one or two of the tricks for each of the games. And that's where I always struggled, because some of those glitches are frame perfect jumps or very tricky to pull off. Some are easier than others, but yeah, that was always tricky for me. So I like the glitchless runs, but even glitchless for this game, you can still beat this game in under 10 minutes. I mean, GP did it in like what, 6 or 7? Like it was pretty quick the first run.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Cool.
And once again, he went through all of so that's number 3.
That's number 3, yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything for you, Sinister, so I'm not gonna mention some of my strats here, but if ever you get stuck, maybe go back and watch.
Okay. Actually, this brings up a good point. So when you were streaming, I talked about how I've never beaten Super Mario, and you did a stream for me where you showed me and you did a little rubbing of the salt into the wound. You showed me the methods to earn all of the 1-ups and to duck under this and yada yada yada. So now I don't remember it all.
Good.
I don't know if you put that up on the YouTubes for the retro therapy, but yeah.
I think at one point it was up there, along with like a tutorial, walkthrough for Mega Man and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't think it's there anymore. I have to go look. It's been a minute. Yeah, I always enjoyed that. That was kind of like one of the first streaming things you and I kind of established as not an in joke, but yeah, I always enjoy doing those. And you
started doing it for my birthdays.
Yes, and you've mentioned you've used the word tutorial, which I hate that because I feel like I'm so bad at these games. Like I don't know. I think if at any point I were to say to somebody, "Let me teach you something," that would be an indicator to not do it.
Well, remember, those who can't teach.
I can do neither. if we're waxing philosophic, let me reproach that with we teach best that what we need to learn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are we doing? What's going on?
Well, I was going to say, so one of the things I've noticed is I feel honestly, and I'm gonna throw back to another one of our episodes. I feel honestly that if I were not playing this on the Mister, I would have a severe disadvantage, because there are moments where I land and need to jump immediately.
Yeah.
Right? Or I'm going to die. And I've noticed that on the Mister, it's that put somebody in front of an emulator playing Punch Out, and then put them on a Mister playing Punch Out, and they're going to realize, okay, I'm not just god awful, I just kind of mostly suck.
Yeah.
Right?
Input lag is a thing, and you don't feel it until you're faced with the alternative. If for those who don't have a Mister or original hardware access, play this on RetroArch and turn on run ahead mode by frame, and just that one extra frame of lowering your input lag makes all the difference in games like Punch Out and also Mario. I was playing this week on BizHawk, which is a fantastic emulator. Don't get me wrong, but for a game like Mario, Sinister's absolutely right. Input lag can be felt in this, and it's crazy how much of impact it can have on something like Mario. This is one of those games that a lot of us played as kids and beat as kids, and when we played as adults, we're like you said, you think, oh, I'm terrible at games, and I got old. It's just input lag. Go try RetroArch or go play on original hardware. Yeah.
And a little bit, you got old and became awful.
Well, my thumbs are dumb nowadays, but yeah. But I did notice an absolute difference when it comes to playing on something with lower lag, for sure.
Yeah, in fact, I think I would probably be on my 5th or even ninth playthrough of this had it not been for the playthrough lag. I remember doing
Does 9 come
Battletoads.
after 5?
I don't know. I'm not good with numbers. You know this.
Math
Okay.
is hard. Yeah.
And I haven't
I'm
been
yeah,
ever since I was 948 years old.
right.
But no, I remember. Oh god dang it! I remember learning Battletoads and doing that on. I wasn't emulating. I was using hardware, but I was playing on a not a LSD screen, LCD screen. Anyways,
Yeah.
the,
LSD screen, yes.
the LSD didn't help at all. But then
Don't do drugs, kids.
I was gifted a CRT from our good friend Dead Cosmonaut, and even just changing that was night and day. It's amazing how you have to recalibrate your brain.
I remember when
the timing, yeah.
you were playing Battletoads and you switched and you were like, I remember the first few, you were actually bad for a short bit because you were so used to like compensating for that LCD lag.
Right. So
Yeah.
the moment that I quit being bad was the moment I went back to playing on an LCD screen. Can't do it. It's when the controls are that responsive, every stage is the ice level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Huh. I kind of like ice levels.
Yes, famous quotes.
Uh-huh. So Werewolf also brought up apparently in Mario Maker, they actually approximated the physics for Super Mario Brothers 1 because they have lost the source code for Super Mario Brothers.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing with Mario Maker 2 is because of that style of game, you have the different skins of Mario, right? You have 1, 2, or not 1, 2, but you have 1, 3 in World or whatever. So it's an approximation of Mario feel. But yeah, he's absolutely right. It's not exactly the same. And I did notice that too when you're playing. There was a game called Super Mario 35 came out very briefly, a battle royale style version of Mario Brothers, which is fantastic to play through. I wish they still had it, but in that the physics were also a bit different, and that was a little bit off-putting. So yeah, so they've tinkered with Mario's physics over the years a little bit.
Maybe that's why Mario can jump so high. It's because he's gotten used to all these different physics.
I thought it was the
Headcanon.
LSD.
It's the mushrooms.
Well, it's the
You know,
shrooms. Yeah,
apropos,
absolutely.
Isn't that psilocybin or whatever they call it?
Don't get me started. I don't know. For my parole officer, I don't know.
Yeah.
Shit.
We're sorry, parole
Honest-
officer.
Yes. Yeah. GP, a parole officer GP is not on psilocybin right now. Psilocybin.
Also, guys, this is I'm absolutely loving this. Forgive me for not being my usual self. It's hard to focus while play. But to that note about the psilocybins or whatever, I'm not sure that the dolphin costume was necessary today, Sinistar.
Halloween's coming up. I'm just giving it a try out.
That noise was the chair.
I've put out pumpkins already.
Nice.
A ton of pumpkins.
We've established that's normal behavior. Pumpkins
Yes.
year round. It's okay. Yeah, you know what? LSD's got to be a factor for Mario though, because if he's literally killing his fellow people by bashing those bricks, he must be high. He must not realize what he's doing.
That's how he gets away with not having feelings when he destroys his friends.
He just dulls the pain of his by getting. Yeah.
God.
Wow.
He doesn't feel any pain. He's taken so many, beats to the head from these blocks.
No, it's Yoshi that takes beats to the head. Come on.
Nice. I love how we have that discussion about like Miyamoto's logic when it comes to level building, and that's great, but nobody cares about the logic for like, the fantasy of the game. Oh shit.
Right. Well, let's see.
Do we want to talk about ports of the game? Because
let's talk about ports.
We've generally been talking about the NES version of this game. There were a couple ports of this game. One maybe people also are familiar with is the Game Boy Color version, Mario Brothers DX, which adds a couple things to it. It has one notable difference though, in that the Game Boy screen resolution is a little bit different. So I think they altered the level layouts a little bit to account for that. But the one I really want to talk about, and it's one of my favorite games to get other people to play. It's up there with Superman NES. And it's basically a port of this game.
A game that'll make you go out and do your lawn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much. Make you touch
Do your
grass. This is
lawn.
my gift to the retro community, is go look up a game called Super Mario Brothers Special. Now, this is a port, an official port, done by Hudson Soft. Hudson Soft got the rights to Mario from Nintendo and made their own version of this game for a system called the PC-88. It was a computer. And it's notable for a couple things.
All right, there's another one.
That's 4.
God damn, that's 4. Good job, GP.
Thank you.
So PC-88 was a computer platform, and bringing Mario to this, infamous for a couple of reasons. One is that, well, it's the port of Mario done by somebody besides Nintendo. This is done by Hudson Soft, which is amazing. It's also got unique power-ups in the game. It's got a couple power-ups, which in my short time playing this game, I couldn't get them. But there's a hammer power-up, which, much like Donkey Kong, spawns a hammer in front of you and kills things. There's wings, which lets you swim through the air, which is really cool. Like a lot of cool stuff. There's a clock for more time. There's also a Hudson Bee, which gives you a bunch of points, for example. So there's like interesting power-ups. But it's the same, for the most part, design of the Mario stages as Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers, but with different power-ups and slightly altered stages. And they're slightly altered because, unlike the Nintendo, the PC-88 couldn't do scrolling levels.
Right.
So now, try imagine playing Super Mario Brothers 1 screen by screen. When you get to the edge of the screen, it flips to the next screen.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's this game. And it's running on PC-88. I'm sure it's a fantastic computer, but as a gaming machine, not that great. The physics feel wrong in all the bad ways. Like, it's manageable with the jumping. But in one thing that Mario that's always been janky was the trampolines, the jumping boxes.
Mm-hmm.
At the best of times in Mario Brothers 1, sometimes it can feel a little bit chaotic. But in the PC-88 version, you're just spinning a goddamn wheel of pain, whether that jump will take you just high enough what you need it to. It'll be a troll hop, or I'll take you to the frickin' stratosphere. And there's no knowing in the PC-80 version. And watching somebody play Super Mario Brothers Special is just chef's kiss, good time. There's a website I love a lot. It's called Giant Bomb. People have probably heard. I've heard Giant Bomb. They're famous. The one guy there, Jeff Gersman, actually played through the PC-80 version of Mario Brothers Special. It took him like 3 or 4 sessions to do it. And the only reason he was able to do it is he exploited the one-up trick, basically. Jumping on a shell repeatedly gets you points to the point you get extra lives. And without those lives and generous use of save states to pick up where he left off, he never would have beaten it. And it's just wild to me. But yeah,
so
you guys got to try
they never play tested this. They never play tested this.
Or they play tested just enough to be like, Nintendo won't go this far, ship it. Right? That's the thing, right? It's like some games on the Commodore 64. I love the C64, but some games on that, I wonder how much they tested and how much they played through the entire game. Right? How much do they expect people to go through?
Real quick, not a Mario. Well, actually, maybe a Mario thing. If I remember right, was it Carmack? Was it John Carmack or John Romero? I think it was Carmack. That basically figured out how to scroll on a computer. And I think he did a Mario clone, if I remember right.
And they pitched it to Nintendo. Nintendo turned it down, which is wild. And what did that come? They ended up using the engine for something. What's the game that he did?
Probably. Oh, I don't know.
Oh, what's that game?
I was gonna say the original Duke Nukem, but probably not.
No, it was. He's known for another game. This is gonna bug me. Let me check my mind pals
like
for a
Commander
second.
Keen or something, are we?
That's Commander Keen. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure the engine ended up becoming Commander Keen is what it was. I could be wrong. I'm sure somebody will let us know in our comments later. But yeah, but like it's like the guy who did the Mega Man for DOS, just unauthorized to see if he can pitch it. But Carmack at least is like, no, I'll reskin it first so I don't get sued.
Yeah. Yeah. So, very interesting comparison, especially because, as a kid, I always thought that the more advanced than the Nintendo, but obviously there were definitely some differences.
Yeah. I mean, it's the power of a machine dedicated to gaming is different than a PC or a computer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you judge a goldfish by his ability to climb a tree, all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean?
Yes, that analogy makes sense.
100%, yes.
Okay, sorry. No, there's an Einstein quote, and it's something to the effect of, if you judge a goldfish by its ability to climb a tree, the goldfish will always think it's an idiot. Long story short, not everybody is built for everything. Yeah.
Now that makes more sense.
Also, Einstein has a quote that says, "Knowledge or imagination is more important than knowledge," and somebody came out and disputed that. They said there's actually no proof that Einstein said that. To which I think well, if we can imagine that Einstein said it, by definition, that's more important than knowing that he said it. Not important, but I thought I would
Oh,
mention it.
wow. I was going to say, I thought you found a quote of Einstein later that said, fuck you, I quote, that was my quote.
No, no. Einstein very famously went on for saying, "Give me Doki Doki Panic instead."
Yeah. Use the Force Gandalf. Welcome to Friday, folks. Welcome
It's
to
the Friday
Friday.
energy. Yeah, long weekend.
I'm
Well,
glad
okay.
I.
So
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say any other notable ports. And by the way, I think there's a PC-88 core for the Mister.
There is, but I couldn't get to work, so I played
Okay.
I played it on the emulator on RetroArch, I believe it was. But yeah, there
Okay.
is a core on the Mister for it. But it's totally on an emulator, and again, it's worth a little bit of headache to set up just to play it because it's so bad you just got to. Some games are
Mhm.
so awful, they're such train wrecks, you need to experience it for yourself.
Well, I didn't know that Hudson Soft had done anything with Mario. So to think if that had been a success, instead of Mario versus Sonic at the Olympics, we could have had Mario against Master Higgins. And I would pay if somebody wants to make that. I'd shell out some dollars for that.
Well, didn't Hudson Soft did some of the Mario parties, I think, early on, I
Oh,
believe.
did they?
I think
Okay.
so, yeah.
I've played the hell out of that first Mario Party, but I guess I never put together that it was Hudson.
I believe it's Hudson Soft. They didn't do all of them. I'm pretty sure they did a handful of them. So
That's
they've
awesome.
been around.
And
I
then to go
kind of
back to the
feel like, oh, go ahead.
well, no, I was going to say real quick if we're about to move on from the port discussion, my favorite port of this, of course, for me, nothing's going to beat the original. But if I have to play a port, make it the Mario All Stars. I love that.
Right. It was on the Super Nintendo. Yeah, Mario All
Uh-huh.
Stars is fantastic because it upped the graphic fidelity a little bit, changed the sprites a little bit. Still runs
And
fantastic.
and
Yeah,
It's
and
on
Lost
a
Levels, if I
yeah
remember right.
yeah
yeah,
Lost
Lost
Levels,
Levels are
and
on there.
it's a massive compilation. Like that was the only thing we've had since then that's close to it is that Switch Mario 3D collection, which
Yeah.
is we've had an
Travesty.
episode on. It was terrible.
Travesty.
Yeah, it's
But I
and
mean,
again, you know.
if you had the cart, because they released two different versions of All Stars. The first had Mario 1, 2, and 3 and the Lost Levels, and the other had Mario 1, 2, and 3 and Mario World. And I mean, if you picked up that second cart, that's a mighty fine Saturday, if you know what I mean. That's
Yeah, it's all the best Mario classics in one thing. That's great.
and they did a pretty good job of trying to recreate the classic physics. If you were to play the updated graphics for Mario 1 and then turn around and play the updated graphics for Mario 2, you see the graphical differences, but they did a pretty good job of staying true to the physics for each of those respective games because those two games play wildly different from each other.
Right.
Where
Will
will
mentioning
apparently with us in chat. The non-video press B member, he brings up there was a Super Luigi Brothers which played with Luigi physics, mirrored the levels the other way, and game played right to left. That I think I would probably throw my controller.
Yeah, I wonder the
Right?
logic behind creating that. There's another one.
That's
well, it was the year of
5.
Luigi. That's another one. That's 5. There's the year of Luigi thing that Nintendo was doing, and yeah, they did a lot of wild stuff with him. The
Mm.
Luigi physics in Lost Levels, for me, actually, I found was not so bad. I actually preferred it for some stages, but the idea of going backwards on stages that feels all kinds of wrong to me. That's
Yeah.
like Shadow of the Beast, where the beginning of the game you have to go left, and then just who the hell think to go left? Nobody goes left in platformers. You always go to the right. That's
Yeah,
like the unwritten rule.
you
It's
only
just
go left. You only go left in RPGs, and you
yeah.
always
There
go
you go.
left in RPGs.
I
That's
yeah,
a
I believe
Sinistrous rule. That's a
the
Sinistrous rule.
well, the first ever side-scrolling game where you should go left, I think, was Simon's Quest. Yes.
Oh,
Do you start left in that game?
No, but sometimes you got to go left.
Well, yeah,
hmm.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, my thumb, I swear that my thumb has a divot from holding right. And so, like, it would feel weird to hold it left.
Always to the left, Sintra says. Yeah.
Always to the left, yeah.
And then Wolf's also mentioning NES Remix 2. I think it was in 1
Oh,
as well. NES Remix is, again,
I love those.
yeah, they're fantastic. And I don't understand why Nintendo just hasn't released them on the Switch. I mean, when everything on the Wii U has been released for the Switch at this point, why not just add NES Remix 1 and 2, add them together in a compilation? I would buy it again.
Yeah.
For those who have not played it, it's a series of classic NES games, and they've tweaked it with certain challenges and changed things up a bit. And it's just like beating this section of Mario without getting hit or something, or you have a star, kill X number of enemies, like little tiny mini game challenges, kind of like WarioWare in a way.
Hmm.
But it's fantastic, and I really wish they'd bring that out or make a sequel on the Switch. But hey, Nintendo's going to do what Nintendo does. I got to
Yeah.
ask something, GP. While I'm
Yeah.
watching you play this game,
Sure.
I can't help but notice you're getting all these one-ups. Why are you bothering with the one-ups?
Okay.
He keeps dying in 8.
Yes, like I'm kind of trying to give myself the best possible setup going into 8.4 in case I have to go into 8.4 without a mushroom or a flower.
Okay.
Because when you get to that, honestly, I can make it past the Bowser throwing the hammers, but it's the Hammer Brother right before that Bowser that is like it's a coin toss. And so I want to at least have something that'll give me some iframes. And if I don't, I need to make sure I have some extra lives.
Because like I know Sinistar, you've been playing it through this as like warpless, which I feel bad for
Yes.
recommending that to you. And I only recommended that to you
Ah!
because I only feel bad. I only feel bad because this is a game where it builds on knowledge that you've learned as you progress through the stages.
Yeah.
Jumping from stage 4 to 8 is traumatic in terms of difficulty jump. But as I've been playing through this, with warps and without, I also found that building up lives was the key to beating this game, like what GP's doing. Have you ever
Well-
tried doing the life trick in 3-1 on the stairs where you bounce off the Koopa to get the lives?
I want to. I got to 3-1 and I noticed that was a good place for it, but I need to kind of figure out the timing because I started trying to do it once and immediately got murdered, right? Because I hit the shell the wrong time and it popped back and killed me.
Right.
So yes, that is something I want to learn to do. But to your point of doing it warpless to learn the progress and learn all of that stuff, I'm not sure I really needed to know about the super long fire bars. I feel like that was a troll on Miyamoto's part.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
you're right. If you warp to 8, you don't see them at all, would you? No, you don't.
No.
Yeah, that's
No,
wild.
My last stream was my first introduction to the screen wide fire bar.
Well, and to that,
Go
sorry.
watch my clip on Twitch, twitch.tv/Sinistar77. Go watch the clip. I curse and then jump into a hole.
I love that you have to advertise it as I curse. That makes me happy. That right there is worth the download and the upvote or whatever.
Exactly.
But to that point, if you do the warping, in 4.2 and then get into 8, you also completely bypass any of the swimming levels. There's only one small section of 8.4 that requires you to swim. Otherwise, nowhere else in the game do you have to do it, which is nice. So I got that going for me.
Yeah,
you
the
think
water levels
that,
in this game are pretty god awful. Like this is one of
Yeah.
the ones where water levels have never been great, and Mario doesn't do a good job of it either.
Do you think Maynard took the lyrics for Inema from Mario?
Learn to swim.
Yeah, learn to swim.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
got something to keep you all occupied. Learn to swim.
Yeah. Well, everybody knows the original name for the Mushroom Kingdom was Arizona Bay.
Exactly.
Wow, some deep cuts here. I love this.
Yeah.
Whew, guys, I got to tell you, this game is giving me anxiety.
You've beaten it 5 times so far. This is
And
wild.
I'm pissed. I feel like it should be at 7, and that's okay. Honestly, it feels good to play some games in front of people again. It's been so long.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That brings up a point, GP. You should I don't know, retro therapy maybe. I don't know.
Someday.
Hint.
I think it'd be great. I tell you what, I'm not going to be doing whenever I go back. I'm not going to be marathoning Mario 1 playthroughs. Because now, honestly, what's happened, Sinistar, is I'm sitting here thinking, I bet Sinistar's a lot better at this than I am, and it makes me want to go and do the whole thing warpless.
You after this run, you could try warpless.
Okay, we'll
Yeah.
try it.
Go for
We'll
it.
try it. We'll see how far
Yeah,
we get
'cause-
before I get mad.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, so when you're playing it warpless, World 5 is definitely tough. 7, I think, was the other one that was pissing me off quite a bit, but nothing quite beats 8, though. I think 8 is still the biggest pain in the ass. Like, I just love how as you go from world to world to world, the ending staircase gets more and more bare and more gaps. And when you get to
Yeah.
world 8, there's just barely the most minimum of blocks. I'm like, what? How the hell is Bowser even get his fat ass into the freaking castle up those stairs? There's like next to nothing to jump on.
Oh
It's
no,
crazy.
we have to go by RPG rules. There are random enemies just hanging out in the dark, waiting for some adventurer to show up. Like, you get to this empty air, you're like, why are you even here?
Right. How long have you had to wait?
Yeah,
I hope you
I'm
don't have
sorry.
like a partner that went out for coffee and I just showed up while he's gone.
Yes, like, I'm sorry it took me so long. Wow.
Mm. Oh. Okay, I'm sorry. I meant to ask this earlier, but I was muted. Um, One of the very first video game glitches I ever had been made aware of was small with fireballs. You all have seen this, yes?
Oh
Yes,
yes,
yeah.
it's great. Yeah.
50 does it all the time, or used to do it all the time.
I have no idea how it's done. Oh my god.
You make it. I know exactly how it's done. You end up on world 1-4.
Okay.
You collide with the axe at the same time you collide with Bowser in full size.
That's what
Yeah.
it is?
Yeah, and it's
Yes.
once you've done it, it's not so hard to do. I remember doing it as a kid and thinking it's just wild because when you're small fireballs, when you throw a fireball, you instantly grow big, chuck it, and shrink back down again, and it's the
Yeah.
funniest thing.
Oh man, I remember
Well, and it
seeing
makes
it
it
when
so
I
you
was a
can
kid.
run them. Yeah.
Yeah, well, no. I remember seeing it and then I forgot about it for until like, the past like week and a half or so, whenever we've been talking about doing this. And I remember thinking, okay, I have to remember to bring that up because it was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. It was a glitch. At the time I was a little kid. I had no idea you could glitch. I thought glitching was taking the warps, and it completely changed the way I looked at games. To be able to pull off stuff that the programmers maybe didn't intend for that to happen, I love it.
Right.
There's also a way to do it with a game genie. Actually, have you guys
Okay.
do you guys ever play this with a game genie?
No.
No.
There were some
Oh.
wild codes for this game with the game genie, like stuff like making the entire game dark tile set, nighttime. Things like making it so that it would show random bars would spawn randomly on the levels.
Oh,
There was
geez.
one
That's
that
what I
did.
want.
Right.
Yeah, we all like the fire bars.
Can we
There
get the
was one
double
that
length?
yes, no, it was. It literally was 1-1, and the giant fireball wheel would just spin around, and you had to get around
Oh
it.
my god.
There was one code that we did swimming through all stages, which was interesting with Bowser. Like stuff like there's wild stuff. There's also one where there was no flagpoles, which I remember being really funny. So you get to the end of the stage and you just run past where the flagpole is, and it just infinitely continued. And depending
no.
on the combination in Game Genie codes, it'd be different stuff back there. A lot of the time, you couldn't even progress. It'd be like a massive wall of blocks or nothing, But it'd always be like this dead zone, like the area that game forgot, right? Just an absolute deadlands. I know people talk about the far lands in Minecraft, right? The distant areas that haven't rendered yet. That's what it feels like in Mario, and that was always fun. Game Genie code's definitely wild. There's a guy, what's his name now on YouTube? Gruz. He used to be Kill Gruz, but his name is Gruz. He does multiple videos about Game Genie codes in the Mario Brothers games, and he's done a few.
Cool.
And there's some really wild stuff he does with codes for Mario. It's fun to see.
I'll have to
That's
play
I'll have
around
to
with
look
it
it up.
because I think, if I remember right, the Mister's cheat system is based on essentially Game Genie.
Yeah, there's the two, I think. I think there's Game Genie codes, and then
Game
there's
Shark.
also the other ones, yeah, for Nintendo.
Game Shark, yeah.
Yeah, it also works in emulators as well. BizHawk has a Game Genie code section too, but it's definitely worth doing. This was one of the ones I had fun with trying to make codes. You'd punch in things like toilet. I think if I remember the toilet code in Game Genie, it caused blocks to fall from the screen when you bash something. So when you bopped a block, things would rain down from the screen. If I remember right, it's been years. But I remember that was being.
I was
fun.
going to say, did it just brick your Nintendo? It's like your Nintendo's now down the toilet.
Enthusiast Jeff is asking, have either of you guys tried beating this game with the advantage controller?
No.
Does
no.
anybody beat anything with the advantage controller?
I've heard that Fester's Quest is supposed to be played with an advantage controller.
Because of the turbo, yeah.
Because of the turbo, yeah. Actually, what would be fun is if I pulled out my arcade stick, and tried it with the arcade, yes, and use the arcade stick to try this once.
So this is what I play Mario on now, lately, is this thing. So for the audio listeners, I have a couple arcade sticks. This one's a small arcade controller, and it's basically keyboard caps. I use this, and it has WASD, WSAD, or whatever you call it. And I play that with platforming games. I think it's fantastic. And it's amazing with Mario. So that's how I beat it. I recently
GP,
got a
are you
copy.
going warpless?
Yes, we're gonna do warpless now.
Warpless now?
Sorry,
Okay.
sorry,
Oh, did you
sorry,
loop it?
Jake.
That's 6, right? That is
Well,
6.
okay, hold on
No,
before
he
you hit that.
reset. He reset, I think. Right?
Yeah,
Oh.
I gamed over. Game over.
Oh, you
Yeah.
died.
I did,
Okay.
and it was exactly where I called it. It was that that Hammer brother.
All right.
Yeah.
I take back the criticism for getting those lives.
No,
You're
it's all
right.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
I
yeah,
know my lack of ability.
so on the WASD controllers or WASDA or however you call it, do you? I mean, tell me how. Like, did you have to relearn? Like, did it feel weird?
On this one, no. Uh, well, Mario is very simple too because there basically is almost never a chance where you use up. Really, it's only for volumes.
That's fair.
So it really just left to right, and it
Well,
reminds
and
me
down
of
to
like.
slide.
Well, yes, you're right, down, but the buttons are all side by side. I like it because again, I said before, my thumbs are dumb. I get thumb pain. I do have carpal tunnel. So for the arcade sticks and the arcade controls, I just use my fingers, which is a lot easier on me, and I find it more responsive, to be honest. So I think it's fantastic for platforming games. It's meant for fighting games. That's why they make these things. But platformers, it's fantastic. It's I don't know. I didn't really have to learn much. There's another one I have. It's called the hitbox style. For those on Twitter, there's been a controversy lately with hitboxes versus arcade sticks. A hitbox is basically buttons instead of a joystick. People think it's a little bit cheating in fighting games because of some stuff you can do with it. But
Hmm.
still, fundamentally, if you push left and right on an arcade stick or a hitbox, it goes neutral. It doesn't actually go either one. So it's not really cheating. It's like an actual stick. You can't go left and right on a pad. You can't go left and right on a hitbox. Anyway, I digress. But it's on a hitbox style, you have left, right, and down on your left hand, and there's a bigger button for your thumbs, and that is up. And the idea is in Street Fighter, you push that button to jump. So that in certain games where up is jump takes some getting used to. But for platforming games like Mega Man or things where you have ladders to climb, pushing a button to climb, pushing that button for up, feels very natural. And again, I find it easier
Mm.
to get around. So I quite like it. But for Mario,
Gotcha.
it's mostly I can use my fingers. It's a more responsive thing. It's a dream to play on.
Okay.
And like
By
this
the
thing
way,
was
I'm
not
watching.
expensive either.
I am watching GP, and I can say honestly, in 1-4, I am better than him at the moment in 1-4.
I believe it.
Yeah, and that jump in 2-1. I
What
had to
happened to
learn
no
that
blind
jump.
jumps?
I
What
had
the?
to learn that. I had to learn that jump in 2-1. Yep.
Gotta
So,
go too
all right,
fast.
I'm gonna say warpless. I got the early game skills over GP right now.
My GP as he just jumps into a hole again. You know what? This is the curse of Mario though, because Mario is one of those games where I keep saying ABR, always be running, but sometimes you can't do that. There's certain stages absolutely you don't take your thumb off the gas, but there's some stages where they punish you harshly if you don't slow down a little bit. And
Right.
2-1 is definitely one of those stages.
Yep.
Well, yeah, there's
Yeah.
just this false sense of confidence that comes from, oh, I just beat the game like 6
Right.
times in a row.
Yep.
Yep.
But then again, I did game over in the most recent one.
Awesome.
would-
Well,
Yeah.
go ahead.
It's taking things off the rail, but I want to have this discussion real quick, if we may, before we shut things down or wrap things up. At the beginning of the game, we were talking about pack-in games, the games that come with the console.
Mm-hmm.
And we had talked about how this was one for the NES, but the one for the Atari was Combat, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was that an Atari like precursor to Mortal Kombat? And if so, what are some of the Aldi brand characters that they had? Let me start off.
They had Tank Zero.
Okay.
And they had Airplane or Opian.
Okay.
They had Sonya Knife. Yeah.
They had Lukewarm instead of Sub-Zero.
Exactly.
They had Nick Cage instead of Johnny Cage, right?
Yes, they had Nick Cage.
They had Raiden instead of Raiden. Yeah, I think somebody needs to make.
No, it was Rygar instead of Raiden.
They had Rygar
Yeah.
instead of Raiden. Yeah.
That Nick Cage, I tell you, he just does any role possible, including Atari 2600 games. I just tell you.
Well,
Exactly.
I don't know. I personally, I'm a fan of Mortal Kombat, so you might say I'm a little too biased.
Oh, oh.
It's a good joke.
It's the best joke.
It's the best joke.
I celebrate you
glad-
for coming up with that.
I'm
joke.
glad GP came up with that joke.
Oh,
No,
fuck
no,
you.
no, no. It's a direct quote.
I dropped this joke in somebody's stream today in chat, and I got nothing but crickets. I'm like, it's John Tobias,
Yeah.
co-creator. And anyway,
Well, I think I'm ready to call it with Mario. Worthless.
on 2-1,
Well,
you got
2-1.
fished. Yeah.
Yep.
we are at about an hour. We're a little over an hour, it looks like. So
Yeah.
we can probably button this up. Any other thoughts or ports or techniques or anything we want to talk about before we call this?
No, I got nothing. I'm gonna
No,
have to practice the small with fireball thing now that you guys have told me how to do it.
Yeah, that thing is a lot of fun to do. There's also a few great ROM hacks for the original Mario Brothers, and it makes you wonder like how much you can do with this game. There was one where what was it called? It's basically Mario's dead, and it's basically the story of this hack is your Mario going through the afterlife. I don't want to spoil it, but it's definitely worth installing and giving it a shot. I'll try and link to it in Discord for those who are listening. And that one's fantastic. There's a lot of great challenge hacks for Mario. A lot of ones that change the graphics a little bit. But this is a game where you've played it, yes, but there's so many more ways to play Mario Brothers 1. And it's all community driven, which I think is freaking fantastic.
We touched on something, and I just watched GP get to 2-4, and I remembered I wanted to talk about it, where this game, as we talked about, it teaches you different, methods and techniques and stuff. But 2-4, in 1-4, you can jump over Bowser from the beginning of his area. Like as soon as you see Bowser, you can probably jump and just clear him.
Really?
But in 2-4, they add some unbreakable blocks at the very beginning. And so the first time I did it, I ran in there and I hit that jump button and just beamed my head on the top and got dropped right onto Bowser.
Yeah, it's the biggest troll. It's like, oh, you think you got me? No, fuck you. But again, that's another example of always be running. Yeah, but except for that part, you got to stop and look at you got to look what's coming, and then you can go. And that's I love that though with Bowser though, is that you can run and jump him if you know him well enough and you're used to it. But you can also pause, dodge his fire or hammers to see your opening where he jumps in the air and then go. And that gently waiting for your moment is fun too.
Or something that I did this in one of my streams. I beat him with flower power.
Yep.
You can hammer him with the flowers and kill him. And somebody in my chat, I don't remember who, was literally saying, wait, you can flower power Bowser? 30 years, 35 years later, however long we're talking now, right? Somebody, I was this years old when I learned I could flower power Bowser.
And that's when you see the sprite. That's what next time you do that, firepower him, and you'll see when he dies and he flips upside down. It's a different enemy sprite, and that's the fake Bowser thing that was mentioned before. And
it's like a grayscale Koopa or Goomba.
Yeah, it's one of every sprite. Koopa. I think it's Koopa, Beetle as well. I want to say Bullet Bill as well. All the sprites, each one is different, and it's really cool. From what I had read, it was something that was put in as like a placeholder. But when they saw it, the team saw it, they're like, oh, this is actually really cool. Fake Bowser. 1 through 7 is a fake Bowser. He's cast black magic on his minions to pose as him. And it's not until World 8 you get the real deal.
Right. Awesome. Okay, well, I don't think GP's going to make a warpless run here. He's only on 4-1 right now.
But, I mean,
except for he's warping. He's warping.
In about an hour, he did beat the game 5 times, which honestly is better than I could ever do. So warps are not.
And better than I have ever done, because I still have as of yet to beat this game.
Are you still planning on beating this game, Sinistar?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
He's got
absolutely.
This, yeah.
All right.
I will say, this is what, you're going to get this and you're going to get it soon. I don't think I would have done this for a stream had I not known for a fact in my heart that you're going to be able to do it pretty quickly. Then it would have been a dick thing, but yeah.
Part of my point for my Sisyphean game is I feel like it's something I can beat. It's something that I just haven't been able to beat yet, right? And so, that is my goal. Now, whether I keep streaming these attempts or I just record them and put them on YouTube later, we'll see. But right now, I'm on a long weekend, so I'm probably going to stream Monday, and I'm going to continue.
Well, I will crack open a bottle of champagne when you get it.
Excellent.
Yeah. Anime Angel
Excellent.
in chat is saying, all jokes aside, you can beat this one, Sin. And yeah, you can totally beat Mario. I've seen you play. You got to 5-4. And again, this is a game that you didn't grow up with, and you're
Right.
kicking ass at it. So again, I got salty after 2-1 this week. So,
Same.
You want to
can
know
totally
what's
beat it.
you want to know what's
Absolutely
really
fair.
fun is I told you I had neighbors, friends, stuff that had Nintendo Entertainment Systems, but there is a memory that I don't think I've ever talked about with this game on the podcast. And when I was a kid, I took piano lessons, and it was my brother and I,
Nerd.
brother Sin, and yes, and we would go and do piano lessons at the same time. And the piano teacher had a Nintendo in her main area, in her downstairs, and she would do her lessons upstairs. And so when Brother of Sin was doing his lessons, I would go play Nintendo. What are we laughing at here?
She had a Nintendo in her downstairs.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, yeah. Anyway.
I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm all right. I'm okay. I'm gonna mute.
But so this game, I literally had the time of like the 20 minutes that Brother of Sin was doing his piano lesson to play this game. So I never got terribly far. So yeah. And it was in her downstairs.
It's just the visual, the theater of the mind on that one is.
Look, he was
Well, I
playing
mean, where do you
Mario in her
plug in the
downstairs, not
cartridge?
Tetris. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you got to plug in the cartridge somewhere.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sometimes this lock gets dusty. You got to blow in it.
Yeah, exactly. And on that note, I think this is a great time to call. So, GP, where can people find you?
In World 8-2 for the time being. Yeah, we'll call it there. No, I'm mostly just here with you, bros. I say this every week, but maybe sometime, hopefully, maybe by the end of the year, we will looking to do some charity work with that that blender of Mega Man games. I think that sounds so much fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jake, where can people find you?
Yeah, I am Sick Jake. You can find me on Twitter, also occasionally on TikTok. I usually lurk there, but once in a while I post something, trying to figure out what the young people do on TikTok. I can't understand it. Or you can just search me up on YouTube or occasionally on Twitch. So SICJAKE.
Get off my TikTok lawn. I am Sinistar77. I stream most Mondays, although it's been a little lax lately, but I do stream most Mondays on Twitch, twitch.tv/Sinistar77. I'm here and I'm on Twitter. And this has been another episode of Press B to Cancel. We appreciate everybody hanging out. Go to our website, please, pressbtocancel.com. There are links there for our YouTube channel, our Discord server. We love to talk about current and past episodes. Give us a follow, give us a like, give us a subscribe.
Yes, if you're watching right now, please
button.
like this video. The YouTube likes really do help. So if you don't mind clicking that like button, we do appreciate it. Or dislike. I mean, I'll take the publicity I can get it. But,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Cheers, everybody.
Thanks,
All right. Okay. All right, everybody. Have a great evening or day or whatever time it is for you.